In a quiet English village stood Ashcombe Manor, a grand but decaying house that had been turned into a small museum. Locals often said the manor had eyes, though visitors assumed this meant the portraits on the walls. Clara, an art student from Oxford, visited on a grey afternoon. She wandered through rooms filled with dusty furniture and faded canvases. One particular painting drew her in, a portrait of a woman in a black dress, her face pale, her eyes piercing blue. The label read simply, Lady Margaret Ashcombe, 1784-1809. What unsettled Clara was how alive the eyes looked. No matter where she stood, they seemed to follow her. She leaned closer, studying the brushwork. The pupils were painted with uncanny detail, as if they glimmered with real moisture. The museum guide, an elderly woman with sharp features, approached. She died young, the guide said. Fever, they claimed, but her husband's diary suggests other causes. Clara asked what she meant, but the guide only smiled thinly and walked away. That night, Clara returned to her rented cottage, but she couldn't stop thinking about the painting. She dreamed of Lady Margaret standing at the foot of her bed, whispering, "Find me." When Clara woke, her window was open, though she had locked it. The next day, she went back. This time, the museum was nearly empty. She stared at the portrait again. Something was different. The lady's lips were parted slightly, though yesterday they had been firmly closed. Clara gasped. She checked the plaque, the wall, even the frame. Same painting, same label. But the face had changed. She told the guide, who shook her head. The mind plays tricks. But Clara was certain. She returned the following day. Now the change was undeniable. Lady Margaret's hands, once folded neatly, were raised as if pressing against the canvas. Her expression looked desperate. The paint seemed fresh, wet at the edges. Clara reached out. The surface of the canvas was warm, pulsing faintly like skin. She yanked her hand back, horrified. That night, her dreams grew darker. She saw the manor halls in firelight. She saw a man dragging Lady Margaret by the wrist. She saw her locked in a room, pounding on the walls, her voice hoarse. "They must know the truth," the woman whispered. Clara woke sweating. She returned to the museum once more. This time, the portrait was gone. Only an empty frame remained. She searched the room in panic until she found the guide again. "The painting?" Clara demanded. "Where is it?" The guide's expression didn't change. "There is no painting, my dear. There hasn't been for years. It was stolen." Clara shook her head violently. "No, I saw it. 3 days in a row." The guide leaned closer, voice low. "Then you are the one she has chosen." "What do you mean?" Clara whispered. The woman's eyes glittered. "Lady Margaret appears only to those willing to listen. She was murdered, poisoned by her husband. He hid her body within the manor walls. They say her spirit cannot rest until someone finds her remains." Clara's knees weakened. "You're saying the portrait is alive?" The guide smiled thinly. "Alive enough. Did she speak to you yet?" Clara fled the museum. She never returned, but she couldn't escape. In her flat weeks later, she unpacked her sketchbook and froze. On the first page, drawn in charcoal, was Lady Margaret's face. Clara had no memory of sketching it. The eyes were still piercing, the lips parted. Beneath the drawing were words written in an elegant hand that was not Clara's. "You must finish what I could not.